Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Sky Tolly, and this is Awakened Insights, where we're not woke, but awake. Okay, so I've done about like 10 or 20 takes now trying to get this script right, and I just can't do it. This is like my first YouTube video. I really want to try and get some of this information out there and spread awareness to things, and so this is what I felt like is the best way to do it. I decided to screw the script. I'm just gonna wing it. I feel like it comes off a lot more natural that way and a lot more, me, instead of trying to like read off of something that sounds so like formal and rigid and stuff. So yeah, if y'all don't think it sounds good and don't like it, just let me know. This is my first video, like I said, so I'm open to any type of criticism, critiques, and helpful advice. Anyways, a little bit more about what this video is about. So I want to do reviews on different TikToks, and the subject matter of those TikToks are going to be current world events, conspiracy theories, climate change, spiritual warfare, and anything like that that's in that kind of nitty-gritty, like taboo subject matter. My whole point of this is trying to spread awareness into what I feel like is currently going on in the world right now. And I would love to open up discussion. I'd love to have conversations about this and to create a community of people who are also, aware to what's going on right now. And I really feel like the best weapon that we can have, the best arsenal, is information. So I'm going to do my best to try and spread as much information as I can to hopefully make as much of a positive difference as possible. Anywho, enough about me, enough about this video. Let's get on to the show. Now, before we begin, this video is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in this video are that of my own. It should not be presented as fact. I am not claiming the information is true or verified. This content should not be taken as advice. Please do your own research and form your own conclusions. Thank you.
It's about child right? There's theories. Everyone who's gone into movies to watch it, the movie theaters have teamed up.
They stopped it.
Yeah, trying not to sell tickets, trying not for people to watch it.
Yeah.
I've seen one where it's like, oh, the person tries to buy tickets. They said it's fully sold out. Goes in the movie theater, nobody there.
There's no one in here. And then it said that they were sold out.
Another one, the guy comes in, he's like, oh, we have to download the movie. It's gonna take an hour. We can give you your movie back. Like, you guys can walk out. Fam,
They're like
that never happens.
They're trying to stop them from watching it.
Exactly. And the two main ones they have been doing, turn off the AC so it's hot as hell in there.
Oh, word.
And then,
Just to let you guys know again, it is gonna get hot. It is gonna be like that throughout the whole movie.
So why is it only this one though, not all the other ones?
the movies usually,
Yeah.
dim the lights when it goes on. The lights stay on the whole time. And people complain.
It's funny, like the ways that they'll try and sabotage, and try and keep people from getting this information out there and learning about this stuff. It's so hilarious, the steps that they take to try and prevent and censor this type of stuff.
So they don't want to stay there and watch the whole thing. There's a deeper conspiracy onto that.
Nobody's into that shit. Right. Not even other rulers from small countries are like, one world government, that's gonna put me out of a job. Fuck your one world government. People that don't know shit about politics don't want a one world government. There's no way you're gonna sell a one world government. It's impossible. The only way to make a one world government work is to have the people embrace it. They have to want it, because nobody wants it. So the trick is to make people want it, to embrace it. There's only one way.
And see, that's what's funny is hilarious that the government will do that, where they'll create a problem where suddenly they have the solution, so people embrace it, people accept it, and slowly they're just taking away our liberties and our freedoms, and we sacrifice so many of our freedoms for convenience. So much of what they do now is supposed to be to make things more convenient for us, and we're slowly giving away little bits of freedom here and there while we do it. It's incredible.
I gotta pee. There's only one way.
Joe, this is very important.
miss
I've
out
heard
on-
this. I know this.
Okay. I don't know.
The only way, and they've known this forever. The Vatican knew this. The Vatican, the Pope wanted to rule the world. They all knew it, but they couldn't do it. They all knew it, but they knew one way, but there's no way how they're
What's
gonna
the
pull it
one
off.
way, man?
The only way is if there was some extraterrestrial threat from up above us. That would be the only.
And see, it's funny, that's what Reagan said too. He said the only way that he feels like they'd be able to get together all the nations and that we would unify under one world government is from an extraterrestrial threat.
Way to have everyone embrace the one world government. They all knew that for years.
They didn't work.
Project Bluebeam.
That's the plan. They could never
It's a
make
shitty
it
plan,
work.
though.
They didn't have the technology.
Since scientists are starting to get a little edgy these days, it's because their sacred timelines are getting challenged.
Is it the scientists are getting edgier, or is it just that you don't like being called out on the internet by people who are telling you that what you're saying is wrong?
Creationists sent their own samples in to carbon date them, and they're coming back at 20,000 years old.
Ironically, I think these videos are actually going to make me religious because I do need the strength of God to get through this bullshit. You cannot radiocarbon date dinosaur bones. Radiocarbon dating is effective to about 50,000 years ago. And most importantly, it can only be done on natural material like bone, wood, charcoal, or hair. But since dinosaur bones are fossilized, you are trying to radiocarbon date a rock. There is no carbon-14 left in dinosaur bones, which is, you know, the thing you need to radiocarbon date. Of course, you get these completely incorrect dates. This leads me to believe that either you don't know that you can't radiocarbon date dinosaur bones, or that you knew and then just did it anyway. Either way, this propaganda is laughable even by young Earth creationist standards. So if you want to get these results published, I may suggest it being a punchline.
He stands up and he starts playing.
Oh, this is interesting.
It was the Zapruder tape of the Kennedy assassination, but then he slowed it way down. And it was so slow that you could almost see the air moving. Then you saw the driver take a gun and go like this and shoot Kennedy, and the bullet comes out of the gun this slow, very, very, very slow. And it hits Kennedy in the head, and you see everything flying out of his head. And I'm thinking, this isn't the tape I ever saw before. So I said, is this a doctored tape? What's this about? And he said, this is the original one. And I said, no, you know. And he says, well, I'm going to show you the one that you've seen on the media.
Yeah, watch this.
Now, the next tape is your typical one where the driver just keeps driving, never even flinches with the gun. And he stops the tape.
Right there. All right, but yeah, right there.
And there's
Look at that.
of a tree growing in air. And he says, this is the one that you're seeing on the media.
It reminds me of the stuff they did with the atomic bombs. Like, you remember how you would see, like, the houses and the cars and stuff, and it would show you what would happen when an atomic bomb went off and, then, like, the destruction it would cause. And, like, on Rogan, they made the greatest point. They're like, wait, what's up with the camera? Like, who's filming this? How is somebody able to get a camera right there and able to see such destruction and the camera not at all be affected? And it's so crazy because, like, for years that fooled us, dude. And we never realized that, like, the obvious question or the obvious answer was right there. Like, there's no way it would happen. If you look at the models, they actually look like they're miniature, don't they? Like, yeah, I love that on Rogan when they, like, pointed that out. That was great.
And it's been doctored. He looked very, very intently at me and he said, nothing is as it appears to be.
The world's a stage. The world is a stage.
Is climate change an objective truth?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So what happens is...
You believe in climate change.
It's not a belief. It's not about a belief.
Right.
When it's objectively true, you don't have to believe it. It just is true.
Yeah. I believe in it when it's really hot. I believe in it. If it's like a hot day, I'm like, damn, they're right. Serious, dude.
So
I'm like, we gotta fight this. You know what I'm saying?
So an experiment takes the information out of yourself.
Okay.
It's not your perspective. It's not your bias. It's not your worldview. And you get all the data available.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
And then you establish the objective truth. The last 20 years, there are basically no scientists left denying it.
Yeah.
So it's basically 100%.
Damn, there ain't one holdout out there.
Later on, I'm actually going to post a video about that. I'm posting some more on climate change. And it's actually no longer like even 99% of scientists. It's 100% of scientists believe in this. You can't get that many people to agree on something like ever. And yeah, I think it was like 1,100 scientists all agree that climate change is an objective truth.
We hope and encourage ourselves that we will reach you and that we will make it in time. Many volunteers of the Creative Society, after work, we search for, study the information, record videos, edit, translate into dozens of languages, attend organized events, conferences, forums, sacrifice our sleep, try to reach out to you while you're still living your last days, enjoying the sun. We're trying to reach you, and we do not see the sun. Instead of chatting with your friends in a cafe, we have not seen our friends for years. Sometimes we don't even have time to talk to our relatives because we understand that if we don't reach you today, our loved ones won't be around tomorrow. But we also realize that it's your choice. It's your responsibility to do whatever you wish. But for now, it's our responsibility to reach you. But, if you don't hear us, your children's future will become your responsibility.
And see, that's the thing. People don't realize how, much of a crisis this actually really is. Like, we can sit here and try and argue our day whether climate change is true or not. And I'm not saying that, like, the powers that be are not using climate change as a way to manipulate us to, like, eventually we're going to have carbon tax, which, like, some places already do, but they're going to start putting carbon tax on we as consumers, we as the public. And they're going to start giving us, like, limited amount. They're going to try and have us limit our carbon footprint. But really, like, the world can handle, the population that we have. Is the overconsumption that it cannot handle. It can handle, like, all the cow farts in the world, and it can handle, like, us on our day-to-day lives, but what it cannot handle is these factories and these big corporations which are putting toxins and polluting the planet at exponential, unprecedented rates. So, like, I'm not saying that climate change hasn't happened in the past. Like, yes, it does happen on a natural scale, but it's never happened at the pace it's happening now, at this precedented rate. There's a huge correlation between the industrial period and when carbon emissions started, and these, like, larger scale events, and you see, like, the correlation with climate change. And it takes long periods of time for the climate to change, so that way animals have time to adapt and to accumulate to the new climate, or accumate to the new climate. And it's happening at such a fast rate. That's what causes mass extinctions. This is serious, and we really need to get on board with this and quit arguing amongst ourselves and start finding solutions. And fossil fuels, like, going away from them and into renewable, that's not the answer. And going into nuclear power plants, that's not the answer. We're really going to have to find ways. Like, we're actually in a energy crisis right now because we have no idea how we're going to power all these, like, AIs and have enough processing power to be able to do the stuff that, like, our technology can do. And I'm sorry, I just don't think nuclear power plants is the answer, nor is renewable energy.
I will continue and keep going because otherwise, how the hell am I going to look into my daughter's eyes? I as I said, I had two little ones. I would like to explain to them that Papa knew how to save their lives, but gave up because we're not being heard. How can I look them in the eyes if I knew how to save their lives, but I stopped acting? We act for our children and for all children. We understand that some people don't have children, but doesn't your life deserve to be fought for? 5 to 7 years is just a fleeting moment.
Yeah.
Some believe that death is not scary, but we have talked to eyewitnesses and seen many stories and survivors. Our hearts were torn apart when we heard the story of a father from Turkey. If possible, please show this photo. See, I have 2 young daughters, and what if it was them? Oh, what would I do at that point? We still have a chance to change things.
I really highly recommend looking up this broadcast. It's called The Global Crisis, and it's several hours long. So I'm not saying you have to watch the whole thing, but definitely watch like the first like hour of it. And it's really informative, and it really like explains a lot about the situation that we're in now. I know this is from 2023, so I mean it's been 2 years since then. So Lord knows, how much more data we have now. But yeah, I highly recommend checking it out.
Therefore, to him who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is a sin. Inaction, brethren, is a sin. Our actions do matter. I think about the face of religion, what it looks like without acting upon its principles. Well, easy to find the answer to that. We just look around us today in this world, this country. This nation has a pretense of religion. We're supposedly founded on a Judeo-Christian value system, but yet we do not act on its principles, and that's the sad face of America today. I'm reminded of that country western song, God Bless America Again. She's going to have to make some big changes if she wants to be blessed. She is paying a high price for her refusal to act on the principles that she claims to stand for. How tragic, isn't it? It pulls at our heartstrings to see this country dismantled from within.
Same symbols that go to Baphomet, the Owl of Moloch up here in the Bohemian Grove. They sacrifice children. They do it symbolically now, maybe.
No. I have a source. When he was 12, 13, 14 years old, who was put in a cage at the Bohemian Grove and with another young boy who was part of their network. And they had a third young boy in there who had been kidnapped, and they had to commit sex acts with him, and then they had to murder him on camera. This is called a snuff film. These snuff films.
And ask the FBI what they think about snuff films and see what they say. They actually try to say that there's no such thing as snuff films and they don't exist. Yeah, right. Tell that to the dark web.
Sell
Google it if you don't believe me.
for $50,000 each.
I know Sammy Davis Jr. was heavy into that.
Well, Sammy Davis Jr. admitted he was involved in the satanic. This all goes back to satanic cults. And
he was with Anton LaVey, is that correct?
That's right. In Nebraska in the 1980s, I have sources who I've talked to, and they told me they were part of the network.
And see, that's like I've heard that multiple times, that it's actually called the network. And what the network is it's like the satanic like cult of elites that like are all into pedophilia. And it's a huge child ring where like there are people who's been in it, like they're like from like children, from like infantiles, like or infantry, where they've been infancy, where they've been abused and like either the family put them in it, they were kidnapped, like all sorts of different ways that they do it. But there's a lot of evidence behind it. There's a lot of eyewitness testimonies that prove that this stuff is real and this stuff is happening. There's so much evidence out there that point towards it. All you gotta do is look it up.
One of them in particular was used as a decoy in parks, public places, shopping malls, to bring children his age, 12, 13, 14 years old, near the car. They'd kidnap the kids. He'd attended auctions where these kids were auctioned off for up to $50,000 each. He's attended 6 auctions, as few as 6, and as many as 36 children were auctioned off for up to $50,000 each, as I said a moment ago. If you go to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children website, last time I checked, there are 91 Americans who disappear every hour. And it is believed 85 to 90% of them are children.
God.
Okay? These children, of course, a lot of them are returned because their parents were kidnapped and so forth.
And this is older.
But a lot of them are not returned. And I have investigated and exposed an organization in Washington, D.C. known as the Finders. It's a CIA child kidnapping ring.
Tell them.
I've investigated and exposed an organization in Washington, D.C. known as the Finders. It's an international child kidnapping ring. And these, as I said a few moments ago, these kids sell on the auction block for up to $50,000 each. My source was there, and he was part of the network. He was he was one of the decoys. He uses a decoy, as I mentioned a few moments ago. So this all dovetails. And you give this to the law enforcement, they laugh at you because they've been infiltrated. Very basically, not every law enforcement agency, I'm sure. There's a lot of good police officers, a lot of good FBI and CIA agents, but it's a fact. Senator or Congressman Kucinich has announced that the CIA has their own assassination squad. What are we doing killing people without?
We connect, and they've got some of the same.
Look at the man directly behind Obama to the right. Look at his eyes. What is going on here?
And see, why is it nowadays that you see this so often in the crowd when it comes to like either mainstream music and some of the concerts? Now you'll see like all sorts of like demonic or like possessed faces in the crowd, or like even at like political events and stuff. This is becoming more and more common. You're seeing it more and more, like, and it's so blatantly obvious. It's like just why? Why is that? Why are you seeing more weird examples of this more and more?
What is that? Everyone else is clapping and cheering and talking to each other, and he's got these white eyes.
So weird.
And when he breaks free from whatever demonic spell he's under, he just looks straight into the camera, straight ahead.
He does.
Zero emotion. Nothing. There's nothing there. Like, what is that?
God, what is he on?
Is it
No.
a demon? Is it a robot? Is it an alien? Like, what is that?
It's weird is what it is.
Acting so strange.
He's still staring at the
I
camera.
had to record it in the moment.
Look
I
at
was like,
that.
what is happening?
He's like staring it down.
What is this? Does anyone know what is going on here?
He's not even looking at Obama. He's literally staring into the camera. So creepy. Ooh. Shiver me timbers.
They put a picture of an Antichrist behind him during his own performance without him knowing. Now, I don't know if it was Hobson's team who did this or the venue itself, but I feel like this needs to be looked into. Listen to his apology.
Just got a text message from one of my friends saying, Marcus, why was there an Antichrist image on the back projector when you were performing in Colorado last week? And I was confused because I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know, there wasn't. So I messaged everybody that I work with going, yo, was there an Antichrist image behind me when I was performing? And they confirmed, yes, there was. And I had no fucking idea that this was going on behind me. When I flew to Colorado to perform, I was rehearsing in my headphones. I didn't have an actual, in-person rehearsal with everybody, but I trusted that everybody was gonna know the fucking vibe and know what Hobson represents, and I trusted that they would know what I don't represent. And to know that this was projected behind me while I'm rapping and I'm performing songs like Ill Mind 7 and it has an Antichrist logo behind me, that's not the fucking vibe, man. That's not what the fuck I'm on. That's some satanic shit that I don't fuck with, and that controls my perception. That completely manhandles my perception and controls it and makes everybody think that I'm this, and it's no longer about whatever the fuck I'm talking about because they're seeing these images pop up behind me and they're gonna think that I did it. And to everybody who saw it, I take full accountability because that's my fault for dealing with motherfuckers who don't know what the fuck Hobson is, and
Good for him from doing that, because nowadays a lot of like artists and stuff, they don't take any accountability for things that go on in their concerts. I mean, look at Travis Scott. Like, no accountability whatsoever for like whatever you believe that was or not. Like, they just blame it on other people. So I'll give him that. Thank you for taking accountability on that, because it is his responsibility to make sure he's represented in a positive way. But I know there are things that are out of his control too. So he's not completely to blame. But yeah, no, good for him.
I got motherfuckers around me who are shaky as fuck. But I genuinely apologize if any of that made you uncomfortable, because it would have made me uncomfortable. It really would have. It makes me uncomfortable just knowing that it existed. And nobody fucking told me. Why am I finding out through one of my friends and nobody even bothered to fucking tell me that this shit went on behind me while I'm rapping? That's fucked up. And now I look like one of those industry fucking plants that do some satanic ritual shit. And I don't know if that shit is true or not, but I look like one of them right now. and I look like I'm trying to sweep it under the rug and, oh yeah, whatever, oh, this is just because he's about to make a sacrifice. I don't fuck with that shit. I don't fuck with that shit, never have.
Good for you.
We have been institutionally lied to about the true solutions to climate change.
Here we go.
This crisis has been positioned as a battle between fossil fuels and renewable energy, and the climate movement has rallied around that. But we know for a fact that it is impossible to stay under 2 degrees of warming by building renewable energy.
Yeah.
And that's not even considering that we are only building a fraction of what we could because of political stagnation.
Yeah.
So in order to solve climate change, we are going to have to consume less energy.
Yep.
Which requires transforming our entire economy, not just our energy grid.
That's the problem.
We're running a linear system of extracting resources from the earth, turning them into goods, shipping those goods all over the world, and then landfilling them and starting all over again on a planet with a limited amount of resources. This has been positioned as fossil fuels versus renewable energy, but the reality is that overconsumption by the global north is the root cause of the ecological crisis.
For most of Earth's history, it's been warmer than it is now. There's been more carbon dioxide.
That's what I was talking about.
So all the liberals are just overreact. Are you sick and tired of arguing with idiots about things they fundamentally don't understand? Because I am. I'm a geologist. This series is going to help you argue with climate deniers. Like all the most effective forms of disinformation, climate deniers take something that is technically true and use it to form logical leaps to things that are not true. The argument that the climate has always changed is perhaps the best example of this. What they're saying on the face of it is true. Throughout the time that animals have dominated the planet, the Earth has had, in general, higher temperatures and higher carbon dioxide levels than it does today. So climate deniers take this fact and they use it to justify this statement. And that logical leap is untrue. This graph may look like we have massive spikes in temperature, but if you actually zoom in on one, you can see that each of those spikes takes place over the course of over 5 million years. Yeah, sure, temperature and CO2 have been higher, but it's happened on a timescale that allows organisms and ecosystems to evolve and adapt. And what kind of events are linked to geologically rapid temperature changes? Mass extinctions. Yay. Scientists have shown that mass extinctions are linked to large, rapid changes in temperature. And where do you think we are on this graph right now? We still have time to act on the climate crisis, but we do not have time for climate denial. So take no shit from people who are using science they don't understand to back up their arguments.
$100 billion with no meaningful results whatsoever. $100 billion. It's a shocking number, and yet no results. No results. In fact, we saw, the Environment Commissioner in a 2023 fall report said, and I'll quote, the report painted a grim picture of emissions reductions in Canada over the past 20 years, saying that the only significant drop in emissions came during the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic, which had little to do with emissions reduction policy. So in the midst of the pandemic, when we were all forced to stay home for weeks, not drive, not travel, not do anything, not really leave our houses or see anybody, that's what emissions dropped. There was no other meaningful emissions drop.
Convenient.
In this country since the Liberals have been in office. And in fact, the Environment Commissioner went on to say Canada is the only G7 country that has not achieved any emissions reduction.
I would like to add this, that way no matter who has been in the office, whether it's been Liberals, Democrats, Republicans, none of them has made a significant difference when it comes to climate change or carbon emissions. So this is not just an attack on Liberals. Please understand.
Since 1990. Wow, $100 billion and no results. From the Office of the Auditor General, she said Canada's greenhouse gas emissions have increased since the Paris Agreement was signed, making it, quote, the worst performing of all G7 nations since the 2015 Conference of the Parties in Paris, France. That was in 2021. So we're seeing all this money just flying out the door. And in fact, they brought forward something.
Probably on golden toilets.
Something called the Net Zero Accelerator Fund. And what I found really interesting about this, it's they propose $8 billion. Again, just billions are just nothing to Liberals. Doesn't matter how long and how...
Or Republicans or Democrats.
...hard Canadians had to work to produce all those federal income taxes. But whatever, they're going to spend billions like it's chump change in the bottom of their pocket. So $8 billion towards this Net Zero Accelerator Fund. And what's really interesting about this is they found that there was no accountability really on the money to reduce emissions. So they're just throwing billions of dollars to various companies with no measurables. Nothing to show the public, well, we gave them this and they committed that they would help lower emissions at this regard, and we'll hold them accountable to that commitment for making their companies billions of dollars from the taxpayer. That lack of accountability is seen across government departments here. In fact, the government in particular, the Liberal government, makes all these big financial announcements. Doesn't matter that we've doubled the national debt from $500 billion to well over $1 trillion in 9 years, almost 150 years of prime ministers. All their debt was done in less than 9 years by Liberal government. And they talk about all these billions, and yet, of course, there doesn't seem to be really any measurables. It's like a ribbon cutting and announcing all these billions, and then that's all we have to do. It's not really about what the actual impact of those dollars are. It's as if they think success is measured by how much money you spend, not by the outcome it produces.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing with a lot of this so-called green spending. And in fact, in some cases, the government didn't know if the accelerator fund provided would lead to any emissions reduction. In fact, the Environment Commissioner Environment Committee said themselves, quote, "We also found that the department did not always know what extent GHG emissions have been reduced by those companies that took part in the Net Zero Accelerator Initiative, or whether the funding provided would lead to reduced emissions." So again, how could you just disregard the hard work it took for Canadians to provide that money to the federal government and just throw it out the window with no follow-through over and over and over again? So then it's not just on the greenhouse gas emissions that we're not seeing any meaningful action, despite nearly $100 billion apparently, according to them, spent. It's all different departments.
If climate change is real, how come this morning I needed a heavy jacket and then by the afternoon I was hot?
So that's a great question. Weather and climate are different things. So climate is the large-scale patterns of weather. So the weather can still be cold and the climate can still be fluctuating and still have long-term effects. There are already people dying and suffering around the world, not just from increased heat, but from more fires and from tsunamis and from hurricanes and from the majority of things that happen when weather patterns change.
There's been a lot of victims of the climate change movement.
Alright guys, so that was my video. I really hope you enjoy it, and thank you very much for sticking to the end and watching it all. If you'd like to see more content like this, hit me up and hit that subscribe button. Please feel free to have open discussion and leave a comment down below on anything that you think might be relevant that you'd like to talk about. And if you have any suggestions for any other videos that you'd like to see or any other topics you'd like to hear, just send them my way and I'll be glad to check them out. Any hooser, y'all have a wonderful night, a very Merry Christmas, and a Happy Holidays, and a wonderful New Year. See ya.